Good morning, freaks. It's so windy today. It's unbelievably windy. Now today is all about being self-coached. I've been self-coached ever since I started running, and I think it's probably the most valuable thing that any runner can actually do for their own running. It's the best shit ever. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a coach. I actually think that there's advantages and disadvantages to having coaches and not having coaches. They both have their positives and their negatives, and so I actually think that you should try both and see which works better for you, because different personality types respond better to different scenarios in which they guide their training. That's what I think. And if something's working for you right now, just continue with it and don't even worry about anything in this video. Just continue with what you're doing if it's working right now, because there's value in everything that you do. Audio in this video is going to be absolutely ruined. So there are a couple of advantages to being your own coach. Like I said before, you get to know your own body really, really well. And so you can utilize that to level up your learning about things that you're having issues with or things that you're trying to do in your training to get better and better and better as your own self-coach. I read a lot of books and I read a lot of literature and I read a lot of articles and, I watch a lot of videos on physiology and stuff to understand the fundamentals of what I'm actually trying to do with my body. I think that's such a valuable thing to do as a self-coach, is constantly learning, not from the things that you've done right, but also the things that you do wrong, because every runner makes massive mistakes all the time. And an advantage of that is being able to go and learn the answer to that and never do it again. The thing is, when I was a kid, I was that annoying child that would ask why about every single thing. Where are we going? To the supermarket. Why? To get food. Why? Because we need to eat. Why? Because if we don't eat, we're going to die. Why? Because we want to stay alive. Just never ending. I was always asking why about everything. My parents would have absolutely hated me as a child, but that inquisitiveness is really valuable in understanding how to be a good running coach. Okay, what a side tangent, by the way. That is incredible. Being able to ask whys about every single part of your training to understand why you're doing things and what the goals are for that particular session, super, super valuable. And I find that maybe if you have a coach, you're less likely to be asking those whys and understanding what's actually going on in your training. You're just turning up and doing what's on a page. I might be wrong, but that's my experience. And the last benefit to being your own coach is obviously the cost, right? If you're spending $100 a month, Australian, maybe more, I don't really know how much it costs these days. If you're spending that much per month on coaching, you could be saving that and maybe even buying, a pair of Alpha Flyers every 2.5 months, 3 months. And there you go. You got your race shoes. You got 4 pairs of Alpha Flyers per year that you could be getting extra out of your running budget. There you go. That's the biggest benefit of being your own self-coach, that's for sure. But don't just run in Alpha Flyers every single day, and definitely don't wear them to the shops, okay? But while I find a non-windy spot to explain the disadvantages, I want you to let me know in the comments if you have a coach, because I'm really interested to know how much help you get outside of just running programming you get from coaches these days. I want to see how much value you're getting for your money. Let me know in the comments below. Yeah, so the last time that I came here, this was all filled with water. And because it hasn't rained in months, it's now basically dry, except that point there, which is pretty grim. And this is always bad warning signs for horrible, horrible fires. So I really hope that we get no fires this year. God. Now, the first thing that is a disadvantage of being your own self-coach is emotion, because the thing is, every human being makes decisions based somewhat on emotion. And if you have a coach who's really cold and calculated and just gives you what you need without you having to overdo it or underdo it or anything like that, that can be really, really beneficial. And when you are your own self-coach, sometimes you can make terrible, terrible decisions about your own training based on emotion. You know, adding in a little bit too much mileage, doing a bit too much intensity throughout the week, you know, not doing the recovery days at a certain pace, all those kinds of little mistakes you can make as a self-coached athlete, and they can destroy your training. Another disadvantage of being self-coached is that you're gonna make lots of mistakes, and usually a coach might be able to negate a lot of those mistakes that you make because they've probably made them before in their own past. But now that we've got those disclaimers out of the way, let's actually talk about how you can be your own self-coach in the long term and get lots of benefit out of it. But I'm gonna have to do that after I finish work because I'm now 3 minutes late. So unfortunately, guys, there's no kangaroos around today. The problem is that when it gets into summer and it gets really hot, it's actually their mating season, and they actually dig holes and hibernate inside little kangaroo caves. And that is 100% fact. All right. Everyone, let's wake back up, okay? 5 star jumps. This is the time of the video where we're gonna really concentrate. Because here's how we're gonna start it off. I'm gonna show you all the books that I read to get my knowledge up to the point where I can talk a lot of shit on YouTube for hours and somewhat get some success with running. And tomorrow, I'm gonna take you through all the other things involved in being your own coach, apart from just reading some books that I recommend. We gotta keep this video nice and short and sharp because there's no way that anyone on this planet is gonna watch a video for 38 minutes if I put it out. There's no way. But we're gonna keep this attention going. Let's go. If you have to do 5 more star jumps, go ahead. I'll meet you in the kitchen. Do you get that joke? Because these books are fire, so I put them in the fridge. Yeah, I know. It's terrible. Principles of Biochemistry. God, it's a very, very hard read, that's for sure, but it teaches you everything that you need to know about, you know, enzymes and biochemical pathways. All the stuff that are involved in producing energy in your body is in this book. And so if you want to understand physiology at such a fundamental bare bones level, this is really, really powerful. I remember one time at uni, I had a very specific biochemistry course to do, and we had to remember every single diagram that was in this, including all of the enzymes. I'll show you what I mean. Where the hell's the glycolysis stuff? Oh, here we go. Glucose all the way down to pyruvate. Now, pyruvate goes into the citric acid cycle. I don't know where the hell that is in this book. To produce as much energy as possible to smash you down the road. It all starts with this glucose to pyruvate. This is just one example of this riveting book. It's amazing. The essentials of strength training and conditioning. The reason why I like this book is because it gives you a really good understanding of periodization and training and setting specific goals in your training. It also gives you a full criteria and scoring system for particular assessments that you want to actually do on someone. Program design and technique for aerobic endurance training. Chapter 20, the best. So this is fantastic stuff. It's giving you full examples of how to actually structure a training week for a specific goal. This book is absolutely epic. And look, the elliptical, amazing. The Biophysical Foundations of Human Movement. This book allows you to break down different movement patterns into its bare essentials to understand what's actually going on inside the body. It's amazing. Essentially, every amazing coach in the world has a very fundamental understanding of this stuff, and it really cannot be skipped. Understanding this cannot be skipped because it really helps you to frame everything that you're doing in your training for a very specific goal. Now, there are a couple of books that I have read that I really, really like that are very, very specific to running. The first one is Endure by Alex Hutchinson. It's all about mindset and the power of the mind when running. And I think people don't talk about this enough, how important the mindset is. It's just so fundamental to being a strong, fast runner. The second one is Advanced Running by Pete Fitzinger. I think that's how you say his name. I think that book is on Spotify. I've had the ebook in my phone for a long, long time. I obviously can't show you, but it's really, really good, and it gives you a pretty good understanding of how to apply all of this stuff into training in a way that's not sciencey, but it's actually just spoken in proper English that anyone can understand. I think it's geared more towards like marathon running, which is fine because the fundamentals of marathon running and any other kind of running are going to be the exact same. But this kind of stuff and those two other books can be really good to get you going and give yourself a really good chance of being a fantastic self-coach. So I'm going to go through everything else that I think is involved in self-coaching tomorrow. That includes goal setting, periodization of your training, training structure, and journaling. All those things are going to be really, really important. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.